Hi Spurs fans, Luke from Hotspur Stats here, and a much more positive stat of the week this week than last. This week we're going to look at the XG performance or overperformance of both Xavi Simons and Kolo Muani, and it's positive news. So if you didn't know, XG is calculated based on shots that players take in game. It's a calculation that gives you a decimal point percentage that kind of scores it out of if you took the shot 100 times, how many times would it go in? And it's cumulative across a season. So by the end of a season, a player will have an XG score for that season. And you can compare that to their actual goals to see whether they're overperforming, underperforming. A player that's usually overperforming is one who scores chances that are more often than not difficult to take. And a player underperforming at some point in time will have missed chances that were usually quite easy to take and should have perhaps scored. Now, we had two players who consistently well overperformed their XG for a long time in Harry Kane and Son Heung-min. In fact, Sonny, for a period of 4 seasons, was the leading overperformer of XG in the Premier League and at some points in time, the whole of Europe as well. And that suggests, obviously, we know Sonny would score goals from outside the box, so the XG calculation was low because the chance was low, but the goal went in, which meant he scored much more than he was expected to. Now, we haven't had that since those two left. If you look back at Richarlison's XG over a couple of years, he usually slightly overperforms it, but only by 1 or 2 goals maybe. But Xavi Simons, let's look at his Bundesliga career. So in 58 games, he scored 18 goals and got 17 assists. But his XG was 13, so he overperformed that by 5. And his expected assists was 14.7, so he overperformed that as well. And we look at Randal Kolo Muani, and his XG is fantastic as well. So he, at Juve, scored 8 goals and had an XG of 4. So he doubled his tally for what he was expected to do. His best season, though, was at Frankfurt, where he scored 15 times and assisted 11 times. But his XG, again, was 13 for goals and expected assists was 5. So he massively overperformed there. So I'm really excited to see what these two do this season. They're players who seem to be able to make something from nothing. And if you're like me and have watched all of their highlight reels and clips on YouTube before they signed, you'll know that these guys have got an ability to score goals from distance. Simons' curled finishes into the top corner is something you'll see, and Muani's ability to finish hard and low across the box through players and get goals that maybe would be difficult for other players to score is something that's really going to be an asset for the team this year. So really looking forward to that, and hopefully we get to see them banging some goals in soon. Cheers, see you next week for the stat of the week.